Hello and welcome to the Little Aussie Cottage. I'm Kari and boy have I got an adventure for you today. So come along and let's enjoy. Section of the Northern Rivers Rail Trail. The Northern Rivers Rail Trail was completed in 2023. This unique 24-kilometre section showcases accessible paths featuring a blend of sealed sections and compacted gravel, offering an exclusive experience for all trail goers. For those wanting to explore the history of the Tweed Railway section, please visit the significant sites in this video, as well as go to the Tweed Museum, where a lot of this information I'm saying today came from. History. Murwillumbah Railway Line, the Tweed Railway, was officially opened in 1894 and trains used the station until railway services were discontinued in 2004. The station has sat empty, mostly unused, until the construction of the Northern Rivers Rail Trail in 2022. The Lismore to Tweed Railway Line was officially opened on the 15th of May 1894. The first train arrived in Murwillumbah from Lismore on Christmas Eve 1894, which was the culmination of 10 years of lobbying, planning, design and construction for a railway line to transport regional agricultural produce to markets through the deep water port at Byron Bay. A railway line from Lismore to Murwillumbah was first mooted in 1884, as at the time all agricultural produce had to leave the area by ship and could be delayed from market because of the uncertainty of the Tweed River bar. The line originally had 24 stations, together with additional hailing stops, but because known as the line from nowhere to nowhere. Although the railway line continued north from Murwillumbah to the sugar mill at Condong, Murwillumbah was the terminus for the passenger service. By 1905, the Murwillumbah Railway Station comprised a 3-room skillion-roofed timber building. In 1909, rest house accommodation was built for the use of train crews, and the platform was constructed in 1916. The current station building was constructed in the 1920s, and you'll see this at the end of our journey at our rest stop. As well as providing a passenger service between Sydney and Murwillumbah, the railway transported agricultural produce such as butter, corn, cream, heading for the butter factory at Murwillumbah, and pigs destined for bacon production. 2 banana trains left Murwillumbah each week, some carrying 44,000 cases bound for Sydney. The cane train travelled from Crabs Creek area to the Condong sugar mill. When it reached the mill, it had to cross the then Pacific Highway and block the highway as it was being unloaded, to the frustration of motorists. After sugar was produced, bags of raw sugar and tankers of molasses were railed south. Murwillumbah Railway Station was a busy place. A 1955 timetable showed 14 train arrivals and departures on particular days, carrying goods, mail, passengers, and fruit and perishables. After 1973, the Gold Coast Motorway carried cases of prawns and fish and bags of oysters daily to the Sydney markets. For many years, a train left Murwillumbah every Sunday in the summer, picking up passengers at all stations for a day at Byron Bay, returning just before dark, and it was a very popular and crowded train. The station was a tourist attraction in itself. It was a subtropical paradise covered in beautiful staghorns, crow's nests and tree ferns, and took many prizes in the state railway garden competitions. During the 1960s, diesel engines replaced steam, and in 1973 the Gold Coast Motor Rail was introduced, which carried passengers cars and offered a sleeper service. In 1990, the popular motor rail was discontinued and replaced by a daily XBT service. Rail services to Murwillumbah was discontinued in 2004, being replaced by a bus service to the current rail terminus at Casino. Dunbible Station. Dunbible Station opened with the rest of the Lismore to Tweed Railway line on the 24th of December 1894. The station serviced a very small community, predominantly farmland for dairy, pigs and cattle. It was a 17-minute journey from Dunbible to Murwillumbah. The station was considered basic, consisting of a waiting room, a ladies' room, basic toilet facilities and a storeroom. Local residents railed for upgrading facilities over the years, and in the 1920s, requests were made for a cream shed and pig yards to be erected alongside the station, as the current facilities meant the cream was being placed on the platform next to the toilets. Prior to the railway being established, Dunbible was quite isolated. Any travel was done on horseback. In the 1870s, resident Eli Richards rode his horse all the way to Brisbane to collect raisins for a Christmas tree. The railway brought prosperity, new opportunities to the area, particularly in agriculture. Cream gathered from cows in Dunbible in the morning could arrive at Norca factory in a blink of an eye, halving the work of the local dairy farmers. When the railway line was constructed in 1894, it went from Murwillumbah to the south. Dunbible Creek would have been the first significant obstacle railway construction workers encountered. The bridge is an example of the work of New South Wales Rail's Chief Engineer Henry Dean, who was responsible for the design of the railway line. It is a Californian steel Pratt-Truss superstructure of 65.32 metres in length. Very few bridges along the railway line were steel trusses like this one. Most of the bridges were simple wooden constructions. Stokers Siding Station. When the railway was constructed in 1894, Stokers Siding was known as part of the Dunbible Creek. The station was constructed in 1894 and named Dunbible Siding. It wasn't until 1903 that it was named Stokers Sidings after a local landholder, Joseph Stokers. Stokers Sidings was one of the first stations with a raised platform. Before, the passengers would wait in the shade of a nearby large cockspur bush and be hauled aboard from ground level. By 1925, siding was dropped from the name and the station became simply Stokers. It is not known when the name reverted back to Stokers Sidings. The surrounding area was predominantly cane and dairy farmland. The trains would transport the cream to Norca in Murwillumbah and cane to the mill at Condon. A sawmill operated near the railway station on the Smiths Creek Road for many years. Bullock teams brought logs to the railway, which was loaded onto trucks at the gantry and sent to mills at Murwillumbah and Mullumbimby. The station closed in 1974, with trains continuing to travel through the village without stopping. Burringbar Station. Burringbar was an important station on the Tweed to Lismore line, controlling trains between Murwillumbah and Mullumbimby, with a passing loop at a siding. Passengers' goods, logs, mail, cream, bananas and livestock were all loaded on and off at the station, and the local area grew rapidly along the railway service. The station became staffed in 1902 and alterations were made to include a dedication cream shed and a room for the first postmistress to work from. A station master was appointed in 1911. A platform was added in 1919. By the mid-1900s, up to 8 trains travelled through Burringbar per day. By 1990, the trains no longer stopped at Burringbar, and a few years later the station was dismantled. The Burringbar Range Tunnel. The Burringbar Range Tunnel connects the villages of Stokers Siding and Burringbar. The tunnel is approximately 524 metres long and is the longest of 9 railway tunnels along the Casino-Murwillumbah line. It is a single-track concrete tunnel measuring 7 metres high and 3.7 metres wide. The tunnel is important as an excellent intact example of the technical achievement of the 19th century engineer Henry Dean. The station building was constructed of a standard plan and was timber constructed with a general waiting room, ladies' waiting room and ticket office. It is almost fallen out of local memory that the small town of Mobile had its own gazetted beach in the early 1900s. It was hugely popular day trip to take the train from Murwillumbah to Mobile, then the coach to the beach. And our final destination, Crab Creek Station. Crab Creek Station was opened with the rest of the line in 1894 and originally named Mobile Station. The local community protested the name, and the following year the station was renamed the Crabs Creek Station. The local area was once known as Pimble, thought to be an Aboriginal word. The Bundjalung people, specifically the Murwillumbah clan, called Crabs Creek Pimble, meaning stones in the creek, or many stones, and also recognized it as a significant place where ancestral beings created early ceremonies.
I think you can join it up here.
At the pathway of the sun. Eventually, it became known as Crab Creek after one of the earliest European traditional homes.
Yes, I've done it from our school because that's one of our sport activities. Because we've got all these bikes.
Where'd you go there for your sort of?
To here and back. Oh no, not here. We just go to the art gallery. Can we go up there? Just join the path. Go across the grass.
The area was predominantly used for
they do.
farming and was home to a very small and isolated population.
Here, go up here.
The train service was utilised to transport sugarcane to the mill at Kondong and passengers into Murwillumbah, a 59-minute journey. Prior to the train service, if you lived in Kondong and wanted to visit Murwillumbah, the easiest route was by horseback. The rail trail is now Murwillumbah to Crab Creek, 24 kilometres. It has 18 kilometres of smooth crushed granite and 6 kilometres of chip seal in Murwillumbah and the villages along the way. The Murwillumbah trailhead at the old Murwillumbah Train Station is located off the Tweed Valley Way, where it intersects with Alma St. The section in the Tweed Valley, which opened in 2023, travels through the hills and includes 2 tunnels. It's generally flat with some gentle undulations. From Murwillumbah, the trail is sealed for the first few kilometres to the renowned Tweed Art Gallery. Another 6 kilometres on is the small village of Stokers Siding. After 13 kilometres, you go through the 524-metre Burringbar Tunnel and onto the larger village of Burringbar. Horses are allowed on the 2.2 kilometre of the trail in Burringbar, so watch for them crossing it. The last 6 kilometres gets you to Mobile and then Crabs Creek. The regional town of Murwillumbah has all the facilities for a stay and is close to the last population centres of Tweed Head and the Gold Coast, and less than 30 minutes from Coolangatta Gold Coast Depot, making access easy for visitors from further away. We acknowledge the traditional Bundjalung people, the traditional custodians of the land and waterways on which the rail trail is built. And just a little bit of further information about development and the future of the rail trail. The railway line was officially closed by New South Wales Parliament in October 2020, paving the way for construction of the rail trail to begin in 2022. Stage 1 from Murwillumbah to Crabs Creek, the 24-kilometre one that you viewed today, opened in March 2023. At the end of the 2024, funding was being sought to construct the 13-kilometre section from Crabs Creek to Mullumbimby and the Lismore to Booyong and Bangalore section, which would be 34 kilometres. Byron Council was supportive of the project. The Casino to Murwillumbah Rail Trail study was commissioned by the Ballina MP Don Page, followed the release of the 2013 Transport Study. Released in June 2014, it stated that a rail trail on the Casino to Murwillumbah corridor would have economic benefits for all.
pump station in case you need to put some air in your tyres and some water. Drink before I head off on foot. Not too far to walk, turning back. I like how the telegraph poles are painted with the cow prints, because it's actually spelt Moobor, but locals pronounce it Mobor. It's definitely the quieter end of the track. The last northern part. walk back. hotel if you need a drink. And right next to that was the bike shed where we hired out e-bikes. Water break time, and it's time to head home.